Okay, so we're doing...
So yeah, we
updates,
start
right.
with TV update, and then we'll go into CRTC.
All right.
Figure something out.
Yep.
We'll make it up. I would love to have as many takes as we have to. You look great. All right, we rolling? Hello and welcome back to another episode of Start Talk. I'm your host, Sarah Imrie, and I'm happy to welcome back Pete Rocca, our CEO, into the hot seat to answer all your pressing questions about our friendly internet service and the internet in general. He is our resident internet expert. But let's get to what our Start customers really want to know about. Start TV. What's new and exciting? What's happening?
Yeah, we've been really happy. We've had really great success with the TV product. A lot of customers have coming on board. And we've had a couple of feature updates too. So the user interface has had a few tweaks, added some more functionality. We've started to bring some video on demand for some of the movie stuff. And we've got a new firmware update that's going to be released hopefully by the time that this video is out. That adds some additional wireless driver updates and a little more stability and functionality to the set-top box, as well as being on a new version of Android. So pretty excited. That one's taken a little longer than we expected, but like I said, hopefully it'll be out by the time this video is out.
Well, fingers crossed for that, but I'm sure customers will be happy with all the new updates. So thanks for letting us know about that. Now, for the regular internet expertise of yours, I gotta ask, there's a lot that's going on in the news with the CRTC. Mm-hmm. So now we've been really lucky as customers. We've been talking about lower prices and higher speeds. Where are things today?
We're in a little bit of a holding pattern. There's so for those that might not be aware, the CRTC, which is the body that's in charge of regulating internet and making sure that there's affordable access and competitive service for Canadians, ruled on a decision that took them 3 years to come to, very thorough. And the end results were a significant reduction in some of the inputs that for services that we need to be able to access the last mile, for example, and the things that we purchase to put together a service and provide internet service to our customers. Mm-hmm. And so that was a really great news story for Canadians. And as a result of that decision, we lowered our prices, made a lot faster speeds for a lot of customers, just generally, a lot of improvements. And unfortunately, there was what's called a stay in a motion, and so the incumbents, the big guys, took it to court. They took it to the federal court. They also did what's called a review and vary with the CRTC, and also went for a cabinet appeal. So certainly pulled out all the guns in terms of challenging the decision that had come out by the commission. So right now we're in a bit of a holding pattern. The federal court, again, by the time this video is out, I think we'll have received closing arguments, and then they'll be in deliberation in terms of their decision on whether or not the rates will be upheld. And there's also, as I mentioned, two other processes. So the cabinet appeal, I'm not exactly sure what the date on that is, and then the CRTC review and vary, I imagine we'll probably hear, within the next couple of months as well. So we're looking at a few months before we kind of know where things are at, but that's kind of the state of things for right now.
Do our customers need to worry about anything for now?
No, we're holding the prices on the services, so we're still paying the old rates, but we're pretty positive that we're going to see the rates for most part upheld, I would hope, and that way we can continue offering those lower prices and faster speeds for our customers.
Excellent. It's a friendly thing to do, so we appreciate that, I'm sure. Now, I know that my hardware at home, I don't know all the ups and downs of what's happening, and I'm sure there's a good time and a bad time to start replacing hardware. Is it that time? You talk about faster speeds. We're getting faster and faster all the time. What's the last time? When should I replace my router once we start having faster speeds and from there?
Most people usually know when they start having problems. So if you're seeing that you're not getting the coverage in your home with your Wi-Fi, like a lot of people that are calling about internet issues, often Wi-Fi issues. So if you're finding that the Wi-Fi is not cutting it, you might be on an older technology, an older standard, what's called a G or an N versus the AC, which is kind of the newer one. And also, if you think about those routers, they're kind of just little mini computers, and so they have their own CPUs or performance or speed, and sometimes they can't handle the faster speeds. So people that are on the slower tier packages, they'll probably get longer life out of older hardware. But people that are kind of noticing that it's not keeping up with their internet speeds, or they're finding Wi-Fi connectivity issues, you might be in that window.
Yeah.
You think about you get a little longer life out of your router than a cell phone, perhaps. A lot of people kind of turn over their cell phone every 2 to 3 years. But there's been a lot of technology changes in the last couple of years that, might have benefits on why people want to upgrade.
And you mentioned those letters. So that for the layman, if I'm going to the computer store, what's the most up-to-date one that I should be looking at?
AC.
AC.
So 802.11 AC, it's called. I know, super. They've come up actually with a new naming standard that's just kind of starting to roll out. So I think you'll start seeing a little more sensibility in how people describe what kind of standard their Wi-Fi is.
Great. Layman's is where I'm at. AC, I can remember that.
So all the geeks are kind of in charge of the standards sometimes, but no, it's we're making progress.
Well, I appreciate the clarification for that. Are there any other reasons, rather than just the high speeds, to upgrade your router?
Like I mentioned, I think Wi-Fi is the biggest challenge that a lot of people have. So sometimes people find that they might have connectivity in one area but not another. Quite often where people put their router is in the basement where their phone lines or the cable line comes in. Often that's where your router ends up. And that's not going to give you the best signal in your home. And I know we've done a couple of videos in the past about kind of where do you put your router sort of thing. But really kind of Wi-Fi is generally the biggest challenge.
And would you say that there's any security upgrades? Is it improved or kind of stayed the same? Even in just a few years?
Yeah, on the security side, there has been, different encryption methods. What we've been using, so for people that might remember way back in the day, WEP was the old standard, and then that got cracked, and then they came out with, WPA. I forget what the other letters are after that. So there is, constant upgrading of that. But again, anything in the last few years is using the same encryption for the most part.
Excellent. Now, along those lines, public Wi-Fi. We're talking about home Wi-Fi. We can help keep that friendly as part when you're on your friendly connection at home with Start. What about when you're out in the public? What are the risks you really, as a layman, I need to worry about?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm sure you've seen a lot of articles and talk about what to do in a hotspot, and there's some really great advice out there in terms of, how do you secure yourself. The reality is that most people want convenience, and there's a bit of a trade for security and convenience. And there's also, a lot of people talk about, you should always turn on a VPN, before you go into a public Wi-Fi. And so my personal opinion, and this is not advocating, because there's certainly a lot of validity in terms of, encrypting your data, but you're kind of trading one external resource for another. If you're going to add a VPN, and a lot of people will find, the most inexpensive VPN, and who knows where that VPN is hosted.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of issues with that too.
They become the man in the middle, So, you might have a man in the middle in the public Wi-Fi, or you might have it in your VPN network. I think the reality just is kind of balancing your own personal risk versus kind of the inconvenience that you want to take. Making sure that the pages you go to are secure. Weighing, do you want to do banking in a coffee shop, or is that something you're more comfortable doing in your own home? So I think it's really kind of a personal trade-off on, taking care of the basics, making sure that the pages you go to are encrypted. If you're getting messages like, the secure certificate doesn't match the last time you went to it, those should be the red flags that you probably don't want to continue on. Yeah. But for the most part, it's about personal convenience versus personal risk, I guess.
Ideally, don't ignore those security alerts.
If you see something pop up that looks strange,
probably is something.
I would veer away from that, for sure.
Excellent. Well, that's definitely excellent advice. And that was where I was how can we protect ourselves when we're away from the friendly internet connection? It really just comes down to your own personal risks.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. Yeah, people who want to make sure that all the bolts are tightened, the doors are locked, and the windows are up, and all the other good stuff. There's a lot of great videos that you'll be able to find online that can kind of talk to you about what is the maximum that you can do to kind of protect yourself. but again, it comes down to, is that what you want to do? And some people, so don't take my advice, kind of make your own personal decision, I guess, on what you want to do for that kind of stuff.
Fair enough. We definitely can take that into consideration. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly appreciate you answering some of our questions today. I'm sure there's always new improvements that's going on in the world of internet, and our resident expert will be back again soon to help fill you in with everything there is to know. Thanks again for talking with us today.
Thanks a lot.
And thanks for watching. Make sure to follow along with our social channels to make sure you don't miss the next episode of Start Talk. Thanks for watching.